All right. Hi, everyone. Let's hope this time it worked because we did our whole entire broadcast prior to this and I didn't hit record. So welcome to shared broadcast number 9. Number 9 on chapter 9, technology.
Yep.
We got Lizzie and Karen here coming at you with our quotes. I'm going to get started. Mine is a little bit shorter. So the quote that I chose, and it's the one that I found most relevant to adult education, is on page 318 of the text. And it was both the broader society and specifically adult and continuing education have found that they rarely can anticipate the direction of growth and impact of technological mechanisms on adult learning. Often we have limited capability to control and direct technological change. Explain why I picked this passage and how it connects to my personal professional experience. I picked this quote because I think when new tech is invented, it's hard to know what is going to happen and what impact it will have. We're seeing today how technology is redefining the political space with Facebook and Twitter. And that I feel like wouldn't have been predictable several years prior to this. And it definitely was not the sole intention, I don't think, of the platform.
No.
In addition to that, more and more people are able to work remotely and work with people at all locations across the world. And also technology in the educational space. It says required everybody, because I know what you're going to say. Lizzie will kind of expand on this. It's required educators to change what their classrooms look like and alter them to make them stay more relevant. This might mean that they are required to have faster feedback, that their lessons have to be more interactive, and even change the setting of their classroom to not look like a traditional class. I think technology is changing so quickly, it's hard to define or know what impact it will have before, in some cases, it's too late. Dun, dun, dun. Explain its importance to adult educators and how it impacts the design and implementation of adult ed programs. I think the statement that I picked is true for all fields, not just education. It's my personal belief that technology has increased access to education, but at the same time, the access isn't equitable. What I mean by that is that more and more people can gain knowledge via, self-directed learning, and do that on their own time. So therefore, access is increased. But the reason that I think that there's still an equity issue is that technology and the whole field of technology just isn't cheap. And as a result, that automatically causes a disadvantage for low-income communities, community colleges, or any startup programs with lower funds. And with this disadvantage, it's hard to stay competitive in fields, and thus the cycle begins. And I think I either read a quote in this course or another course about how community colleges have less money to spend per student than, say, a private well-known school. And if you have less money to spend per student, then the quality of education that you can provide is probably not as good. And therefore, it's kind of a cyclical pattern. And I think that goes along with the technology that they can provide. So what does that mean for us if we go into adult education? I think that it's good to look into free resources, to reach out to see what financial options are open and exist. I said here, sometimes there's more beyond the surface, because generally if you kind of dig deeper, you can find pockets of cash outside of your budget.
Yep.
And I think that's a good responsibility to take on. So in general, I've been interested. So why do I pick this quote? Or or what do I want to do with it? Lizzie, I've mentioned to you that I'm interested in ed tech in the area of learning analytics. In fact, that's going to be what I do my online research symposium about. Learning analytics is an online space for students to track and reflect on goals towards or growth towards meeting their goals. And for my paper, I'm just hoping to understand how learning analytics is currently being used. And I think it'll be interesting for me to see how or if learning analytics could shift what higher education looks like. So that's what I'm hoping to look into in the next couple of days.
No, that's learning analytics. That's different from ePortfolio, right?
Yeah, it's not like a learning management system. It's more of a personal management system.
Okay.
Yeah, where you the learner would take more ownership of their progress and be able to provide themselves more feedback on their progress towards meeting goals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your presentation so I can learn more about it now.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. So, and I think what I have envisioned for it doesn't necessarily exist. So that's another reason why I'm interested in it. So, All right, Lizzie, what do you got for me this week?
Okay, so we had chapter 9 in these 2 articles, and on the first page of the Schmidt article, on the very first page, one of the subheadings just blatantly says the future means being flexible. And that word flexible is just like super bold and in neon lights for me right now. And so all of my reading about technology, I immediately honed into issues that I'm having in my department. As you mentioned, adult learning and the technology stuff also means that the educators need to adjust as well into this new environment or new sphere of thinking and stuff. And so I read that header, and that's all I needed. Just as adults need to learn new information and new skills, learning institutions and educators must also adapt to continue to exist and be competitive. And so, as quoted in Conceição's article on page 58, today's students are no longer the people our educational system was designed to teach. And that quote kind of scary for faculty. So my graduate school, as I've mentioned in every single shared broadcast, is going major transformation, transitions. It's rethinking its business model. It's rethinking who its constituents are. It's rethinking its programming. But in light of that, and in that article, the things that we have to consider as a school, as well as for our students, we have to adapt our methodologies of how we offer. We have to adapt to the new technologies, online and hybrid. We have to review our programs and make adjustments to meet industry changes, and that includes creating stackable programs. Apparently that's a new national thing, is creating stackable degree programs to create more flexibility. And we need to consider the changes in the student population, who's coming in the workforce and what their specific needs are. And we need to consider partnerships with other institutions. And my graduate school has done a lot of partnerships with undergraduate programs, with corporations downtown Seattle, and with even learning institutions back east. And so chapter 9 of the text focuses on technology's impact on adult learning and how we can assist adults in their needs with regard to it. But from my current position, I immediately honed in on the adult educators and their difficulties around technology, because in my position, it is painfully, and I actually wrote in my notes painfully, like in caps, it is painfully difficult to get faculty in higher ed institutions to consider these changes after they have been grounded in what I consider the romanticized concept of higher education and universities that have been around for hundreds of years. So like, they vision Hogwarts, like they vision this castle in the sky of books and all this wonderfulness of education. And unfortunately, that's not where things are going. And so in explaining the impacts and what I need to know further what my next steps will be, on page 59 of the Conceição article, She suggests that adult educators respond to the pedagogical changes, and she suggests that adult educators must, and I quote, and I say this quote because my faculty would cringe and freak out and hide in a corner if I ever said this to them. They need to move from teaching-based to a learning-based approach, to stop thinking that teaching is necessary in order for learning to occur. That's on page 60.
That's good.
My faculty avoid administrative positions because teaching is their passion. That's all that they want to do. Like they'll be an associate dean and then they'll flip it like within a year or two, because all they want to do is teach, even if it's 10 courses and 30 students each. They love to teach in person with a class. They like to get that peer-on-peer contact and all. I mean, they need that. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out, for me, how do I get them to shift beyond this mindset without them feeling as though their passion is becoming obsolete, that they as professors are becoming obsolete. Because I have some faculty who are that dramatic, who will be like, oh, they don't want me anymore. And they will totally throw a temper tantrum like they're toddlers. So I need to figure out, how do I motivate them? How do I encourage them to get beyond this? How do I enable and assist them through this process? So it's like, it's adult learning technology, but it's teaching the educators of adult learning how to do adult learning through technology, So
Teachers are the hardest people to teach.
Yes. So
are they, do they lecture?
Some of them do, but they're all about andragogy. That is their thing, is that they do the adult methodology. They do not just lecture flat out to a class.
Okay.
But I think that they really thrive on that communication, that back and forth with the other adults in the classroom, with the students. And when you see the students learn and those light bulbs go off, those are their kids. Those are their high school kids.
Yeah.
When the kids learn something, you're like, yes, they got it.
I almost feel bad for them because I don't really see the. I mean, like, I understand that to stay relevant, that the courses have to change, but it is sad for them.
Yeah, you don't see that impact that you make on them,
Mm-hmm.
So I have to. That's something that, reading all this stuff, and that was the first thing I thought of, was my children, my faculty.
Right.
How do I help them? It's like, help me, help you. So,
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. So that's it for me.
All right, everyone. I'm gonna call it short so I can go get some sleep. But see you all next week for Shared Broadcast 10. Bye, everyone.
Bye.